Hi, Thenu. So lovely to meet
Hi, hi.
you on Zoom. And are you in Colombo at the moment?
Yeah, I just came Colombo from Aturugiri, my studio, directly to meet you.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm tuning in from London, and it's lovely to
Okay.
have this conversation on the brink of this very important exhibition that you will be holding starting on the 23rd of July at the
Yeah.
Lionel Wendt Center. So just to give our viewers a little bit of background, I am an adjunct curator at the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi project, and I had the pleasure of visiting Sri Lanka in January last year. This is a region of the world that's very important to my ongoing research. And I visited Thenu at his studio, and he very kindly shared his ongoing project, Covert, which is the centerpiece of this exhibition at the Lionel Wendt Center. And this is the work that we're going to be discussing today, but of course, in the context of Thenu's larger worldview as a professor and as an activist and as a studio artist as well. And so, Thenu, from what I know, this is a very intricate and collaborative project that you started back in 2021. And of course, when visitors come to the Lionel Wendt Center, they will experience it as a final installation, also in dialogue with a number of works on paper that you have been developing at the same time. But what I think audiences miss is the kind of long intellectual journeys that artists go through in order to form their personal vocabularies and iconographies. And one could think of it as a glossary or a dictionary of ideas. So even before we start to talk about Covert as a final work, if you could just talk about what the genesis of the project was, and how you came to think about this piece, perhaps as a amalgamation of many of the other ideas or forms that you had been toying with in your practice, perhaps for either years or decades before that.
Yeah, so then this is the kind of continuation of my same kind of responses to uh, uncommemorative commemoration. So it's um, you can't separate it, my thinking patterns. But I have a lot of experience with which this time the covered three-dimensional structure plus flow. So it has my historical art practice connection. That is, I wanted to have a kind of drawing as a three-dimensional work.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
then it's standing like, and unconsciously it came as a larger version of barrel form. So barrelism is when I introduced since 1997. So it's, I think it is embedded in me, the barrel form. And so, but that is why the cylindrical shape came in, I think, when I analyze it, then how it come to that point. So other connection might be when the flow, I wanted to draw a flow. And it is kind of, I did the road paintings after the 1999, the killing of Neelan Tiruchelvam at Kinsey Road. I painted every year that
Mhm.
road till 2013,
Mhm.
when the authorities tarnished that road painting. So that's the last moment I paint. But that experience also giving me kind of connection with the flow. And same time, working with the flow and drawing, it is a kind of Asian art also. My kind of history is there. So drawing practice, and my drawing practice is more became than a painting is because of the 2005 project of the Shamini Pereira did, that I think more focus on the drawings, and it became a part of my other than painting and installation, drawing always with me. So that is the history. And same time, the why I love the drawing, because I like the kolam, rangoli work, so the making. So I inspired from them also. It is a kind of, connection with the drawings, and that is why when the people see my work in Italy also, they're asking, it is more Sri Lankan. This is not, I'm not artificially made this, it is Sri Lankan, kind of not picking up any forms from the old paintings or drawings, but it is a kind of way of doing it like old artist, practicing that curve, two curves, curve, dot, and another curve, or wakadeka. So that is the kind of, it's a continuation of, it became the form of my covert work, art form of the
And I
artistic.
guess also when you work on drawings of different scales, they also become more nomadic, right? So you can work on those drawings, they become almost diaristic. So you could be sitting anywhere in the world and you're
Yeah.
still kind of going over those ideas and those forms and those images and making new connections. But you don't have to be sitting in the studio in order to continue that practice. So it gives you that kind of flexibility and mobility that perhaps painting and installation based work doesn't give you. So it's a kind of riyaz or a kind of practice where there are certain forms and ideas that keep churning in your mind, and every time you make a drawing you're trying to create new connections, not just formally but also contextually, because you've done a number of these drawings and they are, some of them are quite miniature, but then also a lot of them are quite large. But the beauty of paper is that you can roll it up and practice it anywhere in the world. So you don't have to be just in the context of Colombo in order for you to continue those works. But in terms of the smaller details, I mean, let's talk about the micro before we come back into the macro. But you have these repeating forms. So, you've spoken to me about them. Even when I came to visit you in January last year, you've got the lotus flower, you've got the stupa, you've got the cannon, you've got the fallen body, you've got barbed wire. How did you come up with this kind of glossary of images?
Yeah, it's the first time I came with the flowers. It's a kind of water lilies. It's just opposite to the, when announced Sri Lankan flower, national flower, water lilies. Same time, the rebels in Jaffna also announced their flower. That is Gloriosa. It's not a Gloriosa lily, yes, Nyangala, that in Sinhala. And it's like making another shadow flower, it's national flower in Sri Lanka and national flower in Ilamo. So that is why I played with those two flowers. And it is embedded in my mind as that Gloriosa lily became a kind of later form, became a kind of creep, with the creeping. Creep is a kind of form of creeper, no? A kind of effect is there, and flower is coming down from top to bottom, and then that body forms I develop with that also. And then later, because of the 2000, after 2015, more lotuses came to me. Lotus was a very innocent symbol. It's a more Buddhist, and it was a peace symbol for Chandrika's period. It's a white lotus. But then it became a lotus bud, became a political symbol of the oppressed something people, Mahinda Rajapaksa and that regime. So then they connect with that Buddhist realm and with the political realm, and the kind of hypnotize the voters. So that hypnotism I took. So how that then I hypnotize my viewers with that flower, and within that Nyangala form in the dead bodies, and sometimes with the piece of kind of bone fractions, and but you can't immediately see those things. But when you scrutinize that, then you will find, oh, this.
And isn't the intention also, Thenu, that you want the visitors to come very up close onto the sculpture. And we had spoken in the past that we wanted them to walk on the drawing and to be almost in this space of the glitch, where you are looking at the images and trying to decode them, but there is a certain kind of confusion because the trellis work that you've done in iron, in metal is so intricate. I mean, it's on one level extremely handmade. The whole work is a drawing.
Yeah.
But it's in three-dimensional form. But is this also something that you will be doing at the Lionel When Center? Will you let people come and actually stand on the drawing and come up very close to the column? Is that something that you'll be doing?
Yeah, because if you are looking at far away of the drawing on the floor, then you will see the perspective and distorted drawing. But when you're walking on the drawing, then you can closely look at that drawing, and same time you are within the drawing, and that connection is very important. And same time when you go to the column, you can see other side also. It's confusing, and you in, out, and on it, and all the kind of the space, you go through all the levels of the space, and it's a kind of through atmosphere. It's a kind of living atmosphere, kind of your movement, and you become air, and you will be light, and that when you're looking at that heavy metal work, it is very light when you are seeing it.
Right.
So that is we will have that kind of connection, and you will be like in a cloud, and same time entering the kind of the forest, and when it's a kind of natural kind of thing, then you have to find all the details because there is no map. So you find your map, you find your own roads, and you have to find where to walk, and go around it and come back. And same time, it's a touch feeling also very important. So when the first time that effect I used for my artwork, it is when I made the wall. So people came in and light the lamps on my sculpture. And it was then I felt that people feel it, and they have that kind of connection with the work. It is not isolated, don't touch kind of label is there, but you will be there, and same time, that is a very important feeling. And same time, the kind of hypnotism, but politically, also you have to feel it. So this look like beauty.
Where I was going to go next with the question was, if we zoom out, I mean, we've talked about the different imagery that one can start to discern, even though it's not apparent, one has to look for it within this kind of maze or trellis. But then if you zoom out, one of the things that's important for visitors to understand, of course, they would be aware of this in the context of Colombo, because you've been holding these annual exhibitions for many years in commemoration of Black July. But I think for visitors who are perhaps less familiar with the political history of what happened in the Civil War, if you could just, perhaps zoom out for a second and just share with everyone, why is this exhibition held in July, and why is Covert seen as such a paradigmatic work, now politically? What does it mean? What is its symbolism? So if you could talk about the symbolism of the work vis-a-vis what is current in, the politics of Sri Lanka now, but then also just perhaps refer back a little bit to the political history of the last 35 years.
Yeah. So this is the kind of, when I started in 1997, continuously doing this work, because when I finished my early studies in art, and when I came back to Sri Lanka, so you have to find your own way, your own language. So I was a painter, a figurative painter. I knew how to do it in 19th century techniques and, kind of classical painter. That's the Russian kind of practice I got.
Yes.
So from the academic. But when I came here, so I found not the human figure, I found the barrel figure. because of the war going on. And then I move away from the human figure, but I found the new figures with the barrelism and other thing. And because all the time when I was away from Sri Lanka also, and from 1983, so I was away from Colombo, 1983, but same day I came to Colombo when the pogrom happened in Colombo, and it was happened in front of my eyes. And when I got the news, I was traveling to Colombo, that from Kandy, and that is the day, 23rd of July, 1997. 13 soldiers were killed, and the military advised, don't bring those dead bodies to Colombo, otherwise it will be the problem, and there will be a unrest between the Sinhalese, among the Sinhalese people. But political people, that politicians, Jaya Jawad, insist on that they have to bring the bodies. I think that is why it's created pogrom. It's an organized crime. That in that sense, it's a kind of organized thing, because even people who came and burning and torturing people, they are not lived in Colombo in that areas. For example, in Vallavath, I walked through from Nugego to Colombo, from Colombo to Vallavath. I saw what is happening on 25th of July. So that's the burning happens in the early morning, and so till evening it was there. So that is the thing. I couldn't do anything. At that time, I was 23 years old. I just graduated and artist, freelance artist, but you can't make the open your mouth also. And so it is kind of, tense situation. And so it is, you became onlooker, and you are just watching, and all the feelings, it's coming inside, because this is a political problem. There should be a solution to politically given to, not by war and not by killing, listening to their grievances and discuss it and make the solution for that. But the government at that time wanted to have a kind of war solution. That is the thing against it. So that is why I started, when I came back from Moscow. Even in the Moscow, I painted my compositions related to Sri Lankan theme, 88, 89, horror of death and losing your relatives. And, I had once I came for the short visits in 1989 so then I felt, my brother said, don't speak a word. You're from Soviet Union, and you don't use any socialist word, because walls can listen to you. That is that kind of silence I kept. So whole those nearly over 1 month I stayed, but without saying anything. You can't freely express. Those are the things, you are within you, and that's the only way I can express. So then it released to as art form. And then it came late, actually, from 83, and the real form of started my kind of language in 1997 with the barrelism, and so then its own kind of signature to my work.
What was the impetus behind the commemorative exhibition, the annual exhibitions? Because I think it was an opportunity to also create a discursive space by dialoguing with other artists. Isn't that right? With younger artists, and inviting them also to respond. So is that something that you're still thinking about?
Yeah. I'm always, especially when 2015, I moved to Saskia Fernando Gallery. Always I make my empty space of the Lionel Paint. I always organize the other artist voices parallel to my work. And because of my political work, some people think I'm not the artist and I'm the politician, kind of through politics, always in my art. And so but a lot of people, young people, inspired from kind of, social consciousness is very important. That's the thing might be we did. And even Jagat and me, and we were doing those kind of social consciousness within our art, and but same time keeping your own identity. And so that thought process and dedication and that became my own language.
And
So
what would I mean, it's hard to talk about the significance of an event in the present tense, because you always need a few years to look back in order to do that kind of thorough analysis of the meaning of something. But if you had to just try to think about what is the significance of the exhibition this year, 40 years later, and also with Covert completed as, a finished project, what is your hope for this iteration of the exhibition in 2023?
because I think still the problem's not solved permanently. And last year, the president talking about the 13 amendments. So again, the Buddhist monks and, so-called extreme Sinhalese are trying to go against it and not giving the 13th amendment. That means the devolution of power. So that is, again, that means in this point is very important to people think about again what we gain, what we learn from the history, and it shouldn't be happen again. Not a war, and no blood has to be spilled in this land. In a theme of the ethnicity and the other things, no killing, because we have right to life and not to kill by others, or be a victim of the bullet, or victim of the unknown forces or political forces. But that is the real life we are getting, and we have to live in peacefully. That's the thing we have to talk about. That is why the thorns and barbed wires, and so it is reminding you how the unforgettable history, so people can easily forget everything. And so within sometimes 10 days is enough to forget everything. But then you can start, might be the mobs again. And politicians are trying to trigger these kind of situations. That is why it's very important to talk about this. And maybe they can criticize me, but anyway, that also process is very important. Go against me and same time artistically, and they can think about what I'm saying wrong or good. And so, and this is not a provocative kind of,
No, it's a
you are
discursive
pushing to
space,
the
a discussion.
yeah,
It's an
discussion.
invitation
Yeah,
for a gathering. It's an
gathering.
invitation
Yeah,
for collective thinking, and it's not about one person's position. It's more about trying to create an opportunity to think together, and
yeah,
to feel
kind of
safe in
dissent.
that thinking.
Yeah. So
Thank
that
you.
is why it's very important. Yeah. So
Thank you so much, Thenu.
thank you giving me
No,
time.
I've learned so much, and it's always a privilege to speak to you, because we learn about these events either through, of course, reading about political histories, or by reading about certain practices or artist biographies. But it's always such an honor to speak to an artist live and in the present tense. And I know that this project has been a very all-consuming process for you over the last 2 years. And I think it's wonderful that you are opening up, the studio process to the visitor, and showing also how there are so many different collaborators that you have worked with, that these projects don't emanate from a blank slate, but they are very much processes of accumulation through your lived experience and what you've read and who you've met and what you think about politics, but also places that you've traveled and what you've seen, forms of art history that have inspired you from Europe as well. These are always amalgamations of many processes, both external and internal. And the more we can share these with the public, I think it's always wonderful for them, because it's a very generous invitation for them to come and participate in one aspect of your practice. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.